Hi everyone, my name is Kirill and I am the EMEA shopping lead here in our Google office here in Dublin. Very warm welcome to all of you. Very excited to see you for this special edition of Academy on Air devoted to shopping campaign goal optimized. This is the next generation of the shopping campaigns that we have launched a little bit less than a month ago, but we're already seeing a lot of traction with this. So if you're tuning in today, I would imagine that you are either a retailer or working with retailers on your day-to-day basis. So you would know and love the shopping campaigns that we currently have. So I'm very excited to welcome you to the new evolution of the shopping campaigns and guide you through a little bit through its benefits, some of the insights that we picked so far from our retailers all across the globe, and the next steps and what you can expect in the future. So the agenda of today, roughly at 20-25 minutes. Feel free to send us through your questions, and I'm going to handle them later. The agenda over the next 20 and 25 minutes is to introduce you to the goal-optimized shopping campaigns, all of its benefits, explain you a little bit more in details on how it works, where would you expect your ads to appear across Google. Also mention some of the success that we have with one of our retailers at Google with the goal-optimized shopping campaigns. And then maybe get a little bit more practical with what actually do you need to set up a goal-optimized shopping campaign. And the hint here is actually not a lot, which is going to be a welcome surprise to many of you if you haven't seen or tested this before. So I'd like to start with a quick introduction to the world of retail. We were very, very much interested in how our retailers are growing with Google and what are the challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis. And the challenges, to be completely fair, they haven't changed over the past couple of years. And they're all related to the fact that the path to purchase has grown more and more complex. And we now have many, many more touch points than we used to have before with our consumers becoming more demanding, more impatient, and more curious than ever before. So we just don't go and buy things because we need it, although we actually might. But we do a lot of research across all of the networks, online and offline. We compare, we share, and it's really, really relevant, and it's really tough for our retailers to be at the moment that matter for them, in front of the eyes that matter for them. So your job, our job as advertisers and marketers have therefore become much more complex. We now have so many more factors to take into account when we're building in our advertising campaigns, or where we're deciding on our KPIs, or when we're evaluating the performance from our campaigns. Some of the key things that we saw in Google is obviously the rise of the audience targeting. Audience has becoming more and more critical than ever before versus just the contextual advertising. Because we understand that beyond context, beyond the fact that, hey, this is the keyword, we also have this whole story about every single one of our users that we can actually leverage, and we can actually tell and communicate to our users with the right message to the right audience. The second is devices, obviously. Device targeting is another shift in our perception of advertising, as mobile is becoming more prominent, and a user who is searching for you, who is 1 mile away from your store, may be a different user or a different value to you versus a user who is searching on their laptop during the weekend. So it's a very, very different two approaches, and device actually tells us a lot about the user's intentions. So we have, with this in mind, we actually saw our advertisers grow massively in terms of the complexity of managing multiple campaigns, multiple bid adjustments, multiple places where they appear or they want to appear, and multiple remarketing strategies. And it's all becoming more and more and more complex. So the key question remains, how do we drive sales most efficiently? And we figure out on our side that sometimes the right answer is not the most complex answer. And sometimes we can take a lot of this responsibility and do it as efficient, or actually in most cases much more efficiently than we would be doing by optimizing our campaigns and getting to the next level of granularity and trying to control it on our own. So with this in mind, we introduced a little bit less than a month ago. So it's a very, very fresh start for us. It's a very new product. So we always encourage you to test and share the feedback with us, because obviously this is just the first step for us, and there is a lot more exciting things to come. We'd like to introduce you to a goal-optimized shopping campaigns. What is a goal-optimized shopping campaigns? We built this product with 3 premises in mind. First is we wanted to give you the simplicity that you need to achieve the goals that matter for you. So we are trying to reduce the complexity of campaign creation through the algorithms that we have and the power that we have with our technology and machine learning to actually allow you to put your resources where they matter most, instead of optimizing for every single ID for every single auction. Second is performance. And here we are very conscious that retailers would typically have maybe a more narrow or a different goals than the rest of our markets, right? So we went and asked the retailers on what actually matters most for your business. What is the top line objective that you're putting for your marketing as your marketing KPIs. And the third is we'd like to change your mentality a little bit and challenge your mentality a bit, that shopping is not necessarily just the boxes of products that you see in our search results, but we want to bring you up to speed with perceiving Google as the partner, and you collaborate with us and find customers all across the properties and all across the networks that we are providing. So not only in search results, but also in our most populous display network, YouTube, Gmail, and all these properties, as well as the search partners that we have. So find customers wherever and whenever they are online. So how do goal-optimized shopping campaigns work? First is, at the moment, we have one and only one objective. That is the objective of most of the retailers we asked about. How do I maximize my conversion value? And this is the core thing to understand about shopping campaigns goal-optimized. We'd like to handle the maximization of value on our side, which is different from the bidding strategies that you were using before. If you were using a smart bidding strategies like enhanced CPC, or target cost per acquisition, or target return on ad spend. Second is we provide the machine learning backend on our side to basically use all of these signals that we take into account when we're deciding for whom and to what we're showing, and use this power to show you in the moments that matter to the people that matter. One note here is that, again, if you have tried our smart bidding tools maybe a year ago, these would not be the same smart tools, not the same power that we can provide you today. Close to a year ago, we've actually exponentially improved the performance. And right now, we can optimize for every single query, for every single person in real time, and adjusting it as we go along. And third is we are combining the power of remarketing with shopping to show you across search, display, YouTube, and Gmail. And I'll show you how this would look in a second. So first is, when you're going to be setting up your campaign, define if your goal is really to maximize conversion value. We're providing this goal at the moment. Again, we're looking into what we can do over the years to come to provide you maybe with an alternative goals. But at the moment, the only thing we're going to be optimizing for you is how do you maximize your value, which is the KPI that we hear from you most frequently. At the same time, if you have the the limits of return on ad spend that you're not comfortable to go below, we can give you an additional leverage to put in the target return on ad spend at the campaign level, so your campaign does not go below the specified return on ad spend. Second is we're using a lot of signals, and obviously these are the list that you see here on the slide is by far not the most exhaustive list of the signals that we're using. But we're using both the Google Insights, like location of a person who is searching for you, device, seasonality, queries, and placements, with some of the retailer insights that you are providing us, like your audience, your brand, your sales, your price and basket size, and as well all the information that we can take from your feed, like product categorizations and so on. Finally, we are using one and only one feed across all of our networks and all of our campaigns. So this is a single campaign that takes into considerations the feed that you're currently supplying for Google Shopping to show you, and most importantly, allocate and automate budget automatically based on the performance of each and every network. Last but not least, there are a lot of formats that a lot of placements and a lot of ads that you will recognize and know and love from maybe some of the shopping or dynamic remarketing or remarketing campaigns that you're currently running. But there are also some exciting additions that are exclusive to goal-optimized shopping campaigns. So first is we're showing you in Google Search in the shopping formats. We're showing you in Google Display Network. With the display remarketing, with both static and dynamic remarketing formats. We're showing you on YouTube next to the relevant contextual videos. So think of it as if a person is searching for the bag reviews on YouTube, we can actually put your bag, if you're selling a bag, next to this video. And finally, we're showing with some of the new formats that we're creating for Gmail to also put in the promotions tab to the people who have previously expressed interest in your website or similar products. So to sum it all up, we are providing you with product level reporting across the entire campaign. We are providing you with our technology on our end by the budget optimization based on the value that you're receiving across all network. We're providing you with the maximum reach, and we are hoping that in the future we can get to this one campaign that's the only thing you will need us to give is the goal and budget, and you're all set. So we're very, very close to this in this regard. And last but not least, it's a very simplified campaign management that is destined to take time out of your busy schedule in optimizing the campaigns manually and put it in our hands. What can you do in that spare time? Well, obviously, you can draw insights, you can work on your feeds, because obviously the campaign is only as good as the quality of your feed, or you can go and drink a tea. Hopefully you still have a lot to do beyond optimizing for each and every product ID. So a little bit more detail, in case you're not very familiar with Google Shopping, on how the ads would look like. So you would probably know how the shopping would look in the search. This is the shopping format on next to our search results on the right. And this one is on the top with a scrollable carousel sometimes appearing. On the mobile, it's also a swipeable carousel, so it's very, very important to get those top slots in case you're going for the impression volumes. While also we're both on desktop and on mobile, we have our fantastic shopping tab that is also quite heavily used to get to the next level of detail, and this is the mock of how you would look like there. On the display network, we are asking you to provide just a few of the creative assets on your side, like logo, brand logo, description, and a catchy headline. So we can actually generate some static banners where the dynamic banners are not applicable. And this is how they can look like for both the image banners and the text banners. Finally, this is a dynamic remarketing format. So dynamic remarketing would obviously take into account your previous purchase history, your previous browsing behavior, what are the categories that you looked into, that each and every user would look into, and what are the categories, what are the products that the user would buy in the past. And we can generate the tailored suggestion to them based on this through our dynamic remarketing capabilities. And last but not least, within the promotions tab on Gmail, we can put another set of products based on, again, your previous experience with the website and previous purchasing behavior. Finally, some of the formats that I already mentioned on YouTube is placing you next to the contextual videos. This is the example of the back that I referred to in the past, while also adding some additional formats in the upper funnel stages of the research on YouTube, where we think this would be relevant for each and every user. So to sum it all up, we'd like you to work with the assumption that simple is actually better in a lot of the cases, and we want to strive for simplicity. So managing campaign easy is one of our core goals. Second is we're giving you the KPIs and we're giving you the chance to give us your KPI and we can optimize for this KPI. And third is you can find all of the customers across the entirety of the Google, because you're missing out so much right now if you're just doing the shopping within the search. We talk a lot to our advertisers, and we have had hundreds and hundreds of advertisers already testing this. Some are sharing back with the very early results. And again, this is a very early stage of the product. We're less than 1 month since launch, and a lot of exciting things and stories are still to come. But we know that it works well. It works tremendously well in many cases for our advertisers. This is a Brazilian advertiser, New Lens, selling the eye lenses, who saw more revenue, increased revenue by 57% while achieving a much higher return on ad spend by just simplifying and taking back all of the complex structures that they had before into the new goal-optimized shopping campaigns. So definitely encourage you to try if you haven't already. So a little bit more tactical now, how to get started on the new campaign and what are the next steps from you to evaluate performance. First is at the campaign creation stage, you would know how to set up Google Shopping campaigns, as I imagine most of you would. You put in the Merchant Center ID, you specify your country of sale, and if you have what it takes to set up the optimized shopping campaign, you will be presented with an option to select it in your AdWords. The criteria for eligibility right now is we require 20 conversions on shopping over the past 45 days and remarketing tag present on the website, as well as conversion values passed, which we know most of you would already pass. So once we know what is the value of your conversions, once we know who your site visitors are with your conversion tag, with your remarketing tag, and once we have some understanding of your shopping performance in the past, we can give you an option to switch to goal-optimized shopping campaigns. Next steps are really, really simple. You put in the budget, and note there is an optional tick box to tick if you have the specified return on ad spend that you'd like to maintain within your campaign. we suggest, if you don't have it at hand, or if it's not as critical for you, to give the campaign a little bit of room to grow over the first 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks of testing, and then set the return on ad spend goal if you're not comfortable with the goal that with the performance of the campaign. But just to give the first kick to the campaign and let it explore all of the opportunities to all of the users across all of the networks, we would advise actually to start testing it without the target return on ad spend. Then you would be presented with a product group selection. So you can combine a certain segment of your product inventory within the campaign, but we suggest to actually start testing on the entirety of inventory. Why? Because we know that we can leverage the signals, the cross-sell signals. If somebody was looking in your shoes, we actually might know or get an insight that they're also in market for shoelaces, for example, and put them the contextual banner with the shoelaces, or bid higher on shoelaces when they're looking for shoelaces. But there is an option, and if you're, especially if you're not comfortable with just putting all of your Google Shopping spend that you might currently have into the new campaign, you can start testing on individual categories. Just bear in mind that the campaign will get more powerful the more signals it actually gets. When you're creating the ad creative, we're going to ask you for just a few things. It's an image and text for headline and description, as well as the logo, so basically a logo of your business, so we can generate a more compelling banners. So this is the basic setup right now. Again, a lot of things to come here in the future, but we want to customize our creative experiences, creative formats to the context of your business as well. And this is pretty much it. You will see one ad in the interface. You just created your first goal-optimized shopping campaigns. We highly recommend to give it a few weeks to run before you start to assess the results. Also count in that conversion delay, because not all conversions happen within 1 day, and we can provide you a report with this. It's a very important metric to take into account, so you always calculate the performance of looking maybe a week back if your conversion delay is around a week. But always make sure that the performance you're measuring is the entire performance. So we typically would suggest 2 to 4 weeks of testing before you actually start looking into the performance more in detail. So again, to recap, for campaign creation, you would need 20 conversions on shopping over the past 45 days. You would need a remarketing tag. You would need the conversions with conversion value passed, as well as one image, one long headline, one short headline, a description, a final URL, and a logo in the Merchant Center account that you're currently running if you run shopping. So just to recap, we strongly encourage you to create and test the new campaign type. Set up your budgets. If you've been running a shopping campaign and want to transition your entirety of the shopping campaign into the new campaign format, you can actually allow for 10 to 15% of spend in addition to the current budget that you're running with shopping, just to allow for that extra performance that can take a little bit more of your spend, but hopefully, obviously, give you much more conversion value. Select the products. We recommend targeting all products, but you can choose specific products to test with. So if you were to ask me here, if you are, for example, a retailer who has a few markets, I would go actually and test the shopping campaign goal optimized for some of my markets, but use the entirety of the product rather than test it within one market on specific product. And last but not least, give us some creative assets so we can show you in the most relevant formats on Google Display Network. This concludes my session on goal-optimized shopping campaigns. If there are any questions, I would love to take them on right now. So I'll take a look if there are any questions. Cool. So we have a few questions. Thank you all for your attention if you're not sticking around for the Q&A, but I'm going to read the questions and try to respond to them as best as I can. Question from Orchid. For this to work, that shopping ads could allow in YouTube, Gmail, etc., is there a setting to opt it into display because it's search by default? So the current shopping campaigns, I'm not sure I 100% understand the question, but I imagine that this relates to basically how do you opt in the campaign into display because it is search by default. So the current shopping campaigns are search by default. If you enable the search partners, and by the way, don't forget to add this, the search partners if you haven't already, you would also show in some of our properties like the shopping tab that I just showed, the image ads where we're starting to launch image ads. But when you're opting into goal optimized and when you're presented with this option, all of your campaign would automatically be expanded to include YouTube, Gmail, and display by default. There is a note on this when you're opting the campaign in, so stay on the lookout for this. Again, there is no possibility to exclude this, but these will be your ads will be shown all across Google by default. Second question. You say this can utilize the display network, but smart display campaigns can also use the shopping feed. How would this be better than using standard shopping campaign and separate smart display ad? That's a great question, and we're just starting to explore on how these two campaigns work together. So the way that the campaigns would work together is, and by the way, this is the same the same applies for shopping, is that the goal optimized shopping campaigns will take on all shopping plus your audience list from the visitors that are on your remarketing lists. So whenever there is a returning visitor, or whenever there is a visitor that we can target that has been to your website, this will be run through goal-optimized shopping campaigns. Smart Display Campaign, and Smart Display Campaign, for those of you who don't know, is basically allowing you to rely on our machine learning and technology to show you with the best contextual advertising on the display network. The Smart Display Campaign in this regard will take all of the traffic for people who have never been to your website before. So think of it as returning users versus prospecting. Third question from Kampalpreet. Can we launch shopping ads for online courses? Quite a specific question. We have been launching a few relaxations on our policies for some specific verticals. For online, though generally for a service vertical, we do not allow shopping ads because this, just in general principle, the policy that we require is that the purchase on website needs to result in the purchase of something tangible. So online courses are unfortunately not supported at the moment. Avi asks, will this also work if you're currently utilizing Martin Rottergerding 3-tier campaign system with shared budget and different priority levels, if you know of this setup? I do indeed know of this setup. So basically, for those of you who don't know, this campaign setup requires that you put in 3 different shopping campaigns and basically try to funnel a specific keywords through each and every campaign. So the short answer is no, it will not be supported. And this is actually my pitch to you guys, to test it out in a single campaign through goal optimized. It does not have the priority levels currently, and it's unlikely that it will ever do have campaign priority levels. What we found with the more complex system, not only the the one that Avi is referring to, what we found is that there is a lot of manual work in a lot of instances that does not necessarily mean marginally better performance versus not spending this work. So our goal with the goal-optimized shopping campaigns is that we can show equal or better performance versus any type of campaign setup that you're currently using. A question from Guna: is there any possibility to adjust bid on age and gender for goal-optimized campaigns like search and display campaigns? No possibility at the moment. Again, we are going into setting up the campaign. We are expecting that you would be sacrificing some degree of control for giving our system enough signals so that we can optimize for things like age, gender, and many, many more things automatically. Next question. Hi. I have a client whose campaigns are limited by budget. We are competing against other advertisers who have 90% more spend on a daily basis. Is this a good idea for severely limited budgets? Also great question. And by the way, if this question also applies to search, I would then highly recommend you to try our relatively new smart bidding strategy on search called Maximize Conversions, which is aimed to work specifically for limited budgets. For shopping, obviously our best scenario is that you would give, at least for a start, you would give the room to breathe for the campaign and to identify where it would fit nicely. But obviously, we care about the limited budgets when we realize that there are limited budgets. So it would work again, same or better versus the manual optimizations, because for manual optimizations, there are a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily consider when you're optimizing a manual for limited budgets. Like we can like your budgets can run out by midday, and we can actually identify that by spreading out this limited budget throughout the day, we can actually figure out that in the evening, some people might be converting more than others. So yes, definitely try it out with the limited budgets as well. A few more questions, one from Jonas. As a small business, how to best compete with the big fish in the market of Google Shopping ad? So hopefully it's an absolutely amazing question, and hopefully I was trying to answer it with goal-optimized shopping campaigns, because there is obviously there are a lot of big fishes in the sea, right? But there are also a lot of big fishes to fry all across the Google properties. So if you have a specified KPI, or if you have a specified target return on ad spend that you don't want to go above, you can set it up and let the campaign run across all networks to see where we actually can perform better. And the system might understand that it might not be the most highly competitive auctions on shopping that we're getting the most value for money. It might be for some of the returning visitors across Gmail or YouTube, or with the dynamic remarketing across display network. So this is basically it for specifically, and the core segment that our product teams has been rolling this out is actually a small to medium business, to let you compete in the auctions that matter. Because in a lot of instances, we see even small and medium businesses going for these high slots without actually thinking of what it brings me back, and would like to challenge this mentality a bit, to give you the targets, to ask you for the target that you need, and give you the performance that we can provide across all of the networks. So this was all of the questions that I have received so far. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure, and I hope you are as excited as I am about both the campaign that we rolled out right now and some of the future things. Stay tuned, because we're going to be working with this campaign type over the next years to come. So there are more and more exciting features coming next. Thank you for your attention. And have a great day, everyone.